Welcome, welcome, welcome to our live. We're going to give people a little bit of time to come on. So we're just going to talk about this sound issue that I'm having. So those of you who have been watching me know that for some reason there's always some type of sound or audio or issue that I have going on. So I don't know. I think I have Mercury somewhere in some audio technology part of my astrology sign, somewhere where it shouldn't be or something like that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so as people are coming on, please let us know. I see people coming on. Say hello. Let us know who's here. And please let us know if you can hear us okay. Because there's a little like clicking kind of sound, and I tried to troubleshoot it and couldn't figure that out. So please let me know if it's okay, if it's not too distracting, so that we'll know. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited. Hi, Alex. Hey, can you let me know how does it sound? Are you able to hear me okay? Because I get this clicking just when I talk. When Krystal talks, it's okay. So just let us know. So hello, hello again. More people are coming on. Hello. So as you're coming on, just say hello. Let me know that you're here, and if the sound is okay. So I'm so excited. I have Krystal here, who is a tantric yogi. So what is a tantric yogi? I want to know. I'm sure people want to know. So go ahead and introduce yourself. I've been following Krystal for some time on her Instagram page at Krystal Tantric Yogi, and I asked her to come and join me on this live to talking about it. There is a clicking, like a loose connection. Yeah, and I don't, I took everything out and it still kept doing the clicking. So if somebody comes on and you're really good with technology, let us know. So, yeah, so I don't know if there's like a loose connection. I don't know. Um, yeah, but hello. Okay, more people coming on. Say hello, hello, hello. So, Krystal, you want to go ahead and just kind of introduce yourself, who you are, what is tantric yogi? Give us a definition of that too.
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me on, Renee. I'm Krystal, and yeah, my Instagram handle is Krystal Tantric Yogi, Facebook, YouTube as well. And I am a yoga teacher and a tantra coach. And basically, that just means that I guess you could say I'm a sex educator, but within the realm of the spiritual context of sexuality. And I also practice yoga. I have 250 hours certification as a yoga teacher. And I kind of combine my personal experience through having an asana practice with the I guess with the practices and the knowledge that I've learned from practicing Shakti Pati Tantric Guru Yoga. What happened to Renee?
Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you. I do that sometimes just with the focus on you. I'm still
Oh,
here.
okay. I wasn't sure. I thought you just had left.
No,
Um,
that'll be okay.
yeah, and so I just kind of combine all of that to kind of assist people with whatever they're going through in life, in particular related to sexual issues, whether it be trauma or wanting to be better in the bedroom, or just trying to do deeper healing when it comes to spiritual awareness, because our sexuality is very much part of our spiritual anatomy, and that has to be addressed in order to fully heal and be a conscious being. So yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Nice, nice. So how did you get into it? Like what happened? Like did you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna start working with Tantra yoga? Like how did that happen?
Yeah, so I have an athletic background. I was a college athlete, and I did some post collegiate running and got injured. During that time, I also took yoga teacher training because I was getting serious post collegiate running after I had my kids, and I needed some kind of part time job. We were moving around. I had took a yoga class, and there's a whole kind of story behind that. I was kind of divinely led in a gym to take a class, and I loved it. And I was like, I could be a yoga teacher, make some money on the side, and continue running. And going through that whole process kind of, because just kind of turned my world upside down a little bit. I mean, it already was turning upside down, but it really exposed me to a practice and a philosophy that I had never heard of. I grew up very Christian. And so to have a spiritual, be introduced to a spiritual science that I thought was just an exercise, kind of, I don't know, made me much more aware of what was available to me in my life and my dreams, and kind of understanding what was going on with me as a whole human being. But I was running during this time as well, and I had got injured. And so after I got injured, that was very disheartening. And so I was trying to do whatever to heal. And so I went back to yoga because yoga was the only thing that seemed to help me. And as I started to get more serious about my yoga practice, it kind of started to unlock my, like, I guess, sexual energy. And not as in I was horny all the time, because some people think that means that I just wanted to have sex all the time. But it was more of just like an awareness that there was an energy, I don't know, connected to my sacral chakra. And I knew that because I
Mm-hmm.
had studied that in yoga teacher training, that was affecting my dreams. It was affecting how I was seeing life. It was just increasing my awareness. The more my yoga practice developed, the more aware I became of my energy and how it was connected to my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of trying to figure out what was happening to me and trying to find some terminology for that kind of led me down a rabbit hole to yoni eggs and then to a tantra teacher. And so that's kind of how I got into tantra as a yogi.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I was just talking to a client today who was saying people she does a lot of physical activities, exercise and bike riding. And she was saying how someone had been telling her, you should do yoga, you should do yoga. So I did tell her to watch this. And my niece as well. So my niece is an athlete. She does soccer, and she also, played soccer for college. And so she had some injuries. She would have to take Tylenol all the time before games, after games, just in a lot of pain. And so I told her to watch this too. So, one for the two reasons, just like to be able to explain how yoga can help with healing. Um, not only yoga, but tantra as well. And so I've seen that with a lot of my work because everything's connected. And so when I work with people with tantra, we do a lot of healing on different levels. Like, for example, I have clients who um, have issues, health issues. And then we do a lot of work with breathing. I have clients who want to work on weight loss. Because again, when you're also working with sexual energy, you can manifest things. You're setting intention so you can heal yourself. And so it's very interesting that you came to this place from doing body work, from exercising, from being an athlete and having an injury. Um, and being led in the right way because you were fortunate to have a great teacher that could, help you on this path, having a tantric teacher, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I think that that's why when people ask me about, how do I start tantra practice? I want to do this too. I'm always like, have an intention to discover your life's purpose. Like, obviously, this ended up being a part of what I was supposed to share with the world, and that's how I ended up here. And yoga and those things have been a tool to get me here, but that was always my intention. I remember when I was in college,
Hmm.
I think it was my sophomore year, and this was when I was still very much a Christian, and I was going to Bible study or something, and my preacher had mentioned uh, everybody has a life purpose and everybody has a
Hmm.
soulmate, and that just stuck with me. I was like, what does God want me to do with my life? So I think having a life purpose and intention is really essential into being guided in the right direction when it comes to these type of spiritual practices and anything that you want to get into that might be, I don't know, kind of deep on a
Hmm.
spiritual level. You want to have the intentions and be led by God, your ancestors, high ancestors, before you get into that. And if you do that, the universe, I think, will lead you in the right direction, and it'll
Hmm.
keep you from places where you don't need to be. But you need to have some discipline and integrity about why you're doing what you're doing.
Right. And I think that's so important because I see a lot of people, especially living here in Brazil. a lot of people come here to Brazil and they're like, oh, I want to do this work, whether it's like shamanic work, doing drinking ayahuasca, whatever, because they automatically want to go heal and they're like thinking money. I want to go make money on this and do this, but they don't have real intention of like even doing their own healing work
Right.
or really truly wanting to make a difference, and so that so makes a difference. I'm glad you said that. Um, and what were you studying in college when you were going to school? What was your major?
I was a biology major. I wanted to be a physician.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've always had that, yes, like you're saying, always wanting to help heal people and kind of go down this path. Yeah.
And just I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to have to sell people stuff, that people didn't need, and there's a lot of that in the Western
Mm-hmm.
world, selling people stuff they didn't need. And I wanted to do something, of high integrity. Some of that was, wanting to make my parents proud too, and then I think I've always liked nature. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
another reason why I ended up on the tantric path. I didn't consider myself like a science nerd per se, but I always liked nature. I always had a
Mm-hmm.
heart for nature. So I think that's why I was like, well, I could do science. I could be a doctor. But even as you know, as a tantrika, like it's very much about studying the divine energies in nature, and
Mm-hmm.
connecting with that in order to, I don't know, to heal and be enlightened and all of that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And I think that, like, for me, I've always loved nature as well. And, I think for me too, this has always been a calling. I remember when I was younger, I was never like materialistic or, never one who wanted to like have an office job and going in and wearing a suit and making all this money. But money's good. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but
I
I was never driven by that. Like I've never
Right.
even bought like, name brand stuff. It was just whatever. And
Mm.
I've always wanted to be a therapist. And so for me, that was my path to become a therapist. And then like, similar in a sense of doing my own healing work is what brought me to this. And I found that unlike traditional psychotherapy, this traditional psychotherapy, you're just doing talk, talk, talk. Whereas this, you can really go deep down and connect with people, like what's going on, do true healing work, that goes deeper in my mind,
Yeah,
Um,
I wanted to ask you too, as a therapist, like I was reading about therapists being culturally sensitive to people,
mhm.
and that sometimes that's missing in the, I guess the very kind of clinical part of psychology, Western part of psychology. Do you feel that too? Like adding tantra adds an element of ethnicity and culture that's, I guess, more fulfilling or more effective to your clients.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Um, so the traditional Western culture of psychotherapy is so limited. Is so limited. And so my family's from Haiti, so I have this background where I would see my mom talking to or I had an ancestor altar, and she would kind of connect with my great grandmother, and all these different things would happen. As a therapist, like I would have clients come in, and I've actually had people say, "Oh, I would see spirits and talking to me," but as a traditional psychotherapist, it's like, "Oh, you're automatically crazy, psychotic. We have to give you medicine." And that just didn't sit right with me because I felt like, well, how can we say that this person is psychotic? Like, how are we to say that this person is not really connecting with an ancestor or a spirit guide or someone? And so it wasn't until I came to Brazil and I did a postgraduate psychotherapy, transpersonal psychotherapy course, and it was great. It helped me to understand really truly the difference between someone who's psychotic and someone who really is connected and can hear. Because I remember when I was younger, I used to feel spirits, and I would always be like looking because I would feel like someone passed me, and I was like, then I wouldn't see anything. But I didn't know how to express that, and I would see things and would come in my dreams. And, I couldn't share that because I didn't want people to think I was crazy. And I'm like, what, So I just kind of really shut it off, and a lot of people have to do that. And then and I've noticed with bringing in Eastern medicine, Eastern philosophies as well, Tantra, Taoism, being here in Brazil, even just the different things I learned in transpersonal psychology, we learn to be more sensitive to the different cultures, right? The different beliefs, the different belief systems that different people have. And so, yeah, so I can never go back to that traditional psychology work, just
And you saying that actually makes me think of when I was younger and I used to have these lucid dreams, where I would have a dream and it'd be a bad dream, and then it'd feel like I'd be pinned down by demons or something, because that's all I could translate them to
mhm.
be. Because in church we learned that you have angels and you have demons, and I guess the demons were kind of dark, and I don't know, they were from hell. And I would remember sometimes when I'd have nightmares, I actually think, now that I look back, I think it was from a past lifetime or something, because it'd be the same dream over and over again, and I'd be very much a part of it. And then when I try to wake up from it, it was like these dark entities were pressing down on me, and I couldn't get up. And as I got older, people were like, "Oh, well, you're probably just lucid dreaming," and I was like, "I guess that's true," but I think there was more meaning to it. And I think the reason that it seemed so scary is because I was taught that there were demons, and that you had to rebuke them in the name of Jesus. And I remember I tried to do that and they didn't go anywhere. But I think it was the fear that was keeping me paralyzed, that nobody was there to give more context to what I was going through, whether it be past lives or karma or ancestors or any of those things that culturally and, more, I guess, cultures with a richer history than just
Yes,
Christianity, or a Black person coming into Christianity, couldn't explain that to me. So the fear, I think, made things worse in a way. Me trying to struggle to get out the dream and I can't get up, and da, 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 da.
right,
Fear of what I was translating that as probably made it worse than it had to be, instead of trying to understand whatever the darkness was or whatever
mhm.
I was going through. So that's 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 I don't know, that's a whole nother topic that needs to be discussed to people.
That is. So those who are coming on, hello, Vicky, hello, Nefertiti, and others, everyone else who's coming on. Let us know. Have you had those experiences with dreams, having what's called a lucid or vivid, or something that's foretold the future? And so when I was listening to you say that, I used to have a similar dream when I was young. I always had a nightmare, and it was always me being chased, and it
Oh,
was like people were trying to kill me, like all
yes,
the
that was
time.
me too.
Yes,
Yes. It's like,
and
oh,
I
everybody's
remember
gonna die or something.
yeah, I would literally wake up in a sweat and screaming, right? And I fortunately I had a teacher who was an art therapy teacher, and I was talking to him because somehow we were talking about dreams, and then I mentioned it, and he had said to me, "Well, in your dreams before you go to sleep at night, say that you're going to stop, turn around, and go after them, to find out what it is, because there's something going on in his mind, what he explained, in the subconscious that maybe you're afraid of, or you're running from, or you don't want to see, you don't want to face." And so I did that. And I remember that, I went home, and the night before I went to sleep, I said, okay, if I have this dream and I'm being chased, I'm going to stop and I'm going to turn around and chase after you and figure out what this is. And I don't remember what happened. I just know that after that, the dream stopped. I stopped having those nightmares. So, but I don't remember actually in my dream stopping and chasing, but it might have happened and I just don't remember for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I just know after that it stopped. And I do know that I have been able to control dreams, or just before you go to sleep, you can program your subconscious to reveal different things. And so that's one of the things I've even worked with people with being able to do. And so it's so interesting how, yeah, the dreams, there could be so many significant things. It could be part of your subconscious, as well as messages of what you need to do. Um,
And
I
what
will
we're
also have
taught
dreams.
culturally can really affect our subconscious. So, like, if you're taught that when you have certain dreams, this means this or that, that can affect your dreams as well, and how you, I don't know, deal with things.
Mhm.
If you don't have the ancestral knowledge or have a full well-rounded knowledge, and then you go to a psychologist and they're like, oh yeah, you're crazy, or whatever, without giving you any extra context.
So
Mhm.
true. So true. So let me ask you, and thanks for asking that question. That's a great question. If you have any others, feel free. But I also want to know, like, so yoga is so hard for me. Like, I kind of almost, I don't want to say I hate yoga, but what what do you recommend to people who have a difficult time with yoga? So wait, let me make that clear first of all. I don't hate yoga, so I even hate saying that. I do Kundalini yoga consistently, regularly. Um, but like when I watch your videos on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, look at those poses. Look at how flexible she is. I want to be like that. But it's just so hard for me to do hatha yoga or the different styles of yoga that will get me there. But the Kundalini yoga I do, which is really good because I'm working on the Kundalini energy, my sexual energy, and it strengthens, but it doesn't necessarily make you flexible, but it strengthens. um but like, there's a part of me who goes like, "Ah, I wish I could do hatha yoga or vinyasa yoga or something. What do you say to people who have injuries or something, and maybe, or like my client I was talking to today who was told to do yoga to help with her breathing, but just can't do it, just can't get into it, like
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. I feel like to really want to continue your practice with yoga, you kind of have to like it, and you kind of have to have a goal with it. I started because I had an injury, but I did enjoy it. Like it made my body feel good. But the only reason why I stuck with it and got serious with it is because I had an injury and I was trying to run. I was trying to meet a goal. So I think that first of all, don't give up on yoga. If you went to a class and you didn't like it, maybe the style just didn't suit you. There's so many different styles. Anybody can do yoga. They have chair yoga, they have restorative yoga. I'm sure anybody would love to take a restorative yoga class. They prop you up in pillows. Now, that's not going to make you super flexible, but it feels really good. You might need to find a yoga class where you get to socialize a little bit more, and it's in a community
Mhm.
where they're playing the music that you like, and you're with friends. I think community is really important too. Unfortunately, yoga is so whitewashed and it's so far removed from maybe what someone like me or you would actually enjoy out of a class. That could be tough. But I also think like doing any type of mind body practices can help. Maybe you like dance, or maybe you want to take a salsa class, or and that incorporates some yoga. Maybe you start off small like that. Things that suit more of your interest, martial arts that kind of incorporate yoga. And then as you have a goal, like my goal, I wanted to go to the Olympics. So I did more yoga as I was trying to attain my goal. So if you do a dance class, or if you do something that actually helps you want to get to a goal, and you find that yoga helps you get there, that might influence you to stick with it. And before you
Mhm.
know it, you might be doing an entire practice at home because you're like, well, I want to be able to roll like this in class because
Right.
that's how the instructor does it. Oh, I have to be able to open my hips and my torso and my back and my side. So let me stretch and then I can do it better. But usually you have to have some type of goal, and all the kind of enlightenment and awareness comes along with that. And that's kind of a tantric practice too. We work
Mhm.
with the physical to get to the spiritual.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's the way to begin. But don't give up on it, and do what feels good to you. If right now it doesn't interest you, then maybe it's just not it. But I would say don't give up on it, and do things that do interest you, that do get your body moving. And then you'll probably find you're going to be limited until you open your body up, and that might encourage you to explore yoga more for the discipline aspect of it, to
Mhm.
get to where you want to go.
Right, right. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense, and that helps. I think a lot of people um, might struggle with that. Like, oh my God, I want to do this, but I'm not being consistent, or can't get there. So it's just having a goal. So just, yeah, having that goal in mind. Yeah. And so people who are coming on, please feel free to ask the questions you might have about tantra, about yoga. if you're struggling, like the question that I had, like, how to stay focused, how to do the yoga or tantra, feel free to come on and ask. This is what we're here for. And so, coming on, if you know me, you know that I really like to have these different types of conversations. I think it's so important for us to talk about sexuality and release the taboo from it. And we don't have enough people talking about sex, different things. So I think it's so important. And so you were saying that, you went into yoga to really do healing work to heal your body, your knees, your hips. You were doing a lot of hip opening. And tell us a little bit more about the yoni egg. So that kind of led you to using yoni eggs, and what was that like? How do you feel like that kind of helped to heal you as well?
Yeah, so my tantra teacher was introduced to me by a woman that was selling yoni eggs. I wanted to try the yoni eggs because I was still having issues with my hips. I had SI joint dysfunction, and I came across yoni eggs and trying to explore other things that I could do to help heal my body. And I was like, oh well, maybe this will help tone my pelvic floor. Maybe something like that is the piece that I'm missing to kind of get my hips aligned. But really, I had 3 kids and I had a huge diastasis, so I think that
Mhm.
was part of it, running on that for so long. I was imbalanced, but it's pushing my body. But anyway, yeah, so I started working with the yoni eggs. And I think probably the biggest thing that I discovered initially working with yoni eggs is I was so disconnected from my womb space. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't really pay attention physically to and I had 3 kids, but I never really made any kind of intimate connection other than like when I was like either in a relationship, like phone sex. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. Get yourself here and do this or that. So I did that. I didn't do a lot of self exploration by myself and really
Mhm.
connecting with that place, or any of my private parts really. So when I got the yoni egg, it was like, oh, you're supposed to set an intention. You got to clean it. You got to put it in. And then it's like, oh, you're walking around with it. It might fall out. And then you got to put it back. Like it made me much more aware of what was going down there, just developing a relationship with maintenance of the egg and putting it in, taking it out and cleaning
Yeah.
it and finding the right size. So awareness was a huge deal. I wasn't having any type of like um womb issues, not so
Mhm.
much per se, but I wasn't really clear on like all the different types of orgasms and if I was having really strong orgasms because I was in a long marriage where I wasn't always satiated, you know,
Mhm.
you know. So it just started to bring all of that up. Like I started to realize, oh, you haven't been satiated. Oh, you don't really know what's going on down here. My
Mhm.
woman's been treating me well. My pussy's been treating me well for a really long time, but I haven't been paying attention to her. And just I think that's what I got out of mostly from my yoni egg practice. I didn't start getting into the like actual exercises to maybe a year or two later when I wanted to get a little bit more serious. And but then I learned I had to actually stop and like do some yoni massages, make sure I wasn't too tight because I actually had more of a more tight areas in my vaginal walls because of like
Mhm.
episiotomies and that I've had with my pelvic. The floor was actually pretty tight, and I didn't really need to
Mhm.
be doing a bunch of Kegels and stuff. So I had to, kind of loosen that up, and then working with the eggs, it was more just I don't know, like a maintenance of like being aware, not really like I
Mhm.
wanted to tighten or anything because I hadn't been able to do that much exploring, and the sex that I was having most of the time didn't last that long. So,
Right.
you know, but but yeah, it brought a lot of just deeper awareness, because first it
Mhm.
was yoga and unlocking all the muscles around my pelvic region, hips,
Mhm.
glutes. And then with inserting the yoni egg, it just brought about a deeper awareness to what's actually going on with my vaginal walls and my pelvic floor and just emotionally things that came up.
Hmm. So do you feel like using the yoni eggs, no, we're going to a whole other topic, 'cause this is going to be a whole live in of itself, but because it's interesting. So you had the hip injury and knee injury. And so I follow a lot of Louise Hay, and there's a lady here in Brazil called Christina Kaido. And they talk a lot about the physical that's connected to the emotional and just different things. And so having, just makes me think about, okay, having the issues with the hip area, and then also noticing that you didn't have this awareness, this connection to your yoni area, right? The womb area. So it just makes me wonder, like, is that, is there connection to that? Like, so it's just so interesting to do the work of, being brought to yoga, do the work to work on your hips. Then you're being brought to unlocking the different things that's going on in that hip area. Do you find that that helped take your healing to another level where um, it helped with the healing of your hips, in addition to doing the yoga, or not?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the injury that I cured was supposed to be an awakening for me, not
Hmm.
necessarily so that I could go to the Olympics and learn how to heal and run off and just be this wonderfully powerful, strong person, balanced physically. But I think the injury was to show me there's a lot of stuff that you don't know, and we
Hmm.
need you to dig deeper so we can lead you down the path that you're supposed to go on. And
Yeah.
so now that I've become aware of like how innately tied my physical body is, the wisdom that it holds and how it's
Hmm.
connected to my subconscious, I'm always unlocking wisdom. And so whether my body is strong enough to run like I would love to, like I'll never be able to run like I want to because I push my body so much. I
Hmm.
damage my knees, that it's just not good for me. But I have so much wisdom, and as I use the yoga practice to continue to maintain and I guess still make myself as strong as I can be within the realm of what I can do, I continue to unlock wisdom and be led and be affirmed, because you probably even know this as a psychologist, a lot of times physically our body is expressing our thoughts. So
Hmm.
how did we get to this place of being injured and hurt? Well, it's a pattern, our thought
Yes.
pattern, how we got here. And so I think that I was what my spirit, this path was trying to show me, okay, we need Krystal to get down the tantric path because this is what she's supposed to do, but she's being
Hmm.
exposed to running. So this is how we're going to get her over here.
Right.
And so that
Yes.
was my path. It was very yogi. It was just very much a
Hmm.
yogic path. Okay, we're going to use her body, the gifts that she got from her parents, because my dad used to run all the time. He's this big guy, but he loved to run. So that just innately came to me, but it wasn't meant for me to be a professional runner. It was meant for me to become a yogi and come down this
Hmm.
kind of tantric path. And so just that was just my soul's path of getting there. So, but yeah, like that's the yogic path, using your body as a temple, the
Yeah.
wisdom that's innately our body is like smarter than our minds. Like it
Hmm.
comes straight from God. So we misinterpret a lot of things that the body does, but nature, God is in nature. It's untainted. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Hmm.
DNA has the answers. And so I think that's what's so special about a tantric practice is that it's not just about the study, it's about the experience. And when
Hmm.
you're able to take your own experience and make it an alchemic process into like enlightening, like you understand the enlightening process better because you actually went through it and you used you in your life to get there, so you kind of
Yes.
there's a different type of wisdom that comes from it instead of just sitting in meditation all the time and reading books and being extremely disciplined. You're creating your own mixture of, or composition of what's going to lead you to enlightenment. And so I don't know, there's a different wisdom that comes with that.
Yeah, so true. When you were talking, I was getting chills. Chills.
Oh, like she must be getting bored talking too much.
No, no, no. I was getting chills. Please talk more because when I talk, you get the click clacking. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, I was getting chills when you were saying how you weren't meant for you to go to the Olympics, but this was a way to get you to be a yogi, a tantric yogi, and so it's just like, ooh, and that was just so beautiful because so many times with people, we have something that goes wrong, and then you're like, oh my God, I always wanted to do this, and now I can't, and you're just down and you feel defeated. So I love the way you look at it and you express that. Like, no, I wasn't defeated. Yes, at first I wanted to go to the Olympics. This was my dreams, but I see that all of this happened for me to be here.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
like all of our paths, I feel like, right? Like all of
mhm,
us are kind of like that. It's like our weakness ends up being our biggest strength, the thing that's holding
yes,
us down. Like even if you look at celebrities like Stevie Wonder or LeBron James, like whether it's their environment or handicap, they when they learn how to turn that into, the thing that propels them is when they are really walking their path. So I think it's like the hero's journey, right? Like it's
yes.
all our journeys are all like that.
So true, so true. I just wanted to put that up. Our weakness ends up being our biggest strength. But you said that is
Yeah.
so true, so true.
Right.
So, yeah, so as people are coming on, say hello. Feel free to ask questions because we don't know who's coming on. We can't see who's coming on from this platform. So just say hello. Let us know you're here. I see people are on, but I can't see names. So say hello. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any challenges, if you want to know something, if you want to know about Tantra, yoga. This is your time. Speak now or forever hold your peace. So, so you were talking about the yoni eggs, and I wanted to ask you, since you started using the yoni eggs, do you feel like your orgasms changed using the yoni eggs connected to your body more? Do you feel like you started to be able to feel more pleasure?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, fortunately and unfortunately, is like I said, I became aware of how suppressed my sexual energy was. Like I became almost more sexually frustrated because I realized that there was so much more pleasure to be had, and maybe that was
Yes.
waking up, because I think a lot of us women settle for you know, we just settle a lot. And so, like,
Hmm.
unless you're fortunate enough to be exposed, I guess there's a catch 22 with that. But if you're exposed to someone pleasing you really well early on, then you may not know, especially when it comes to vaginal orgasms. Um, Anything penetrative, even anal orgasms, like anything penetrative, sometimes it takes a while before we realize, oh, our orgasmic potential outside of just the clitoris. So I think that's one of the biggest things that, yeah, it made me aware of just how much I have not been pleased, and how much there's so much room for me to experience more sensations. and
Hmm.
and so, like, from that point on, moving on, like I wanted that, like I was looking
Right.
for that. Yeah, so that
Yes.
there I went, and through my tantra practice, I got, that's when I first started getting introduced to dildos, and we call them puja tools or pleasure tools, but dildos and vibrators, and some anal plugs, things like that. I use those through my tantra practice, and so then I was like, whoa, okay, I
Hmm.
like this is a level of sensation connected to my consciousness that I've never been, exposed to.
Yes.
So it just more and more awareness. Yeah, definitely more sensations, more an awakening of just like that kundalini energy, that womanly, that feminine divine.
Yes.
Like, whoa, I've been wearing that my whole life, so really kind of like that. And also being in control of my energy, learning that I do have the power to kind of conjure up orgasms, because that was kind of happening through dreams, and sometimes these energetic orgasms would come up before I had got into tantra. But then when I actually started working with yoni eggs, and really working with the muscular part of my womb, then I realized, oh, like if I contract my pelvic floor and I start to control different areas of my vaginal walls, I can increase my orgasms. I can increase the intensity. I can make them come quicker. So yeah, I feel like it did awaken me in a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah, and I'm
Mm.
glad you brought up the anal plugs. I've never tried that. Now you're making me want to, so I'm gonna be curious. Let me ask a question about that, and then we're gonna get to Mitchner. Tara has a question, but with the anal plugs, how was that in your tantric practice? Because I mean, I just never use that in my tantric practice. So what is that like? Well, first and foremost, I know that a lot of people are like, oh my God, anal sex and all of this stuff. But the anus, it has a lot of nerve endings. So it is capable to have a lot of pleasure, you know? I just haven't explored that area yet. Maybe I might now after this live. So what is that like? Like, I mean,
Well,
what is
I'll
that
tell you.
practice within a plug?
Well, I'll tell you actually, intuitively, without even getting into like any ritual stuff. If you remember me telling you, and I have a video. I made a video about this because to me this is all very innocent. But I know people think this is very taboo. But like remember I told you when I got the yoni eggs and I started working with another woman, she said, "Okay, we need to see if you have any triggers. You need to do yoni massage
Yes.
first. We need to evaluate your pelvic floor before you start using the
Mhm.
yoni eggs." And I was like, "Okay." And so I kept having tension in my pelvic floor, and I really think it's because of the episiotomies that I had.
Mhm.
And I was, I was massaging with my thumb and everything, and I just wasn't making the progress that I felt like I should have been making in that area. So one day I decided, what if I went through the anus to and looked and thought of it more of like a massage to massage the other side of that
Yes.
that
Okay.
pelvic floor. And so I used that and started it to relax the pelvic floor, and that's what did it.
Oh
So
wow.
that's one way I guess and that was an intuitive thing.
All right.
And then you also know that the anal region is very connected to the kundalini energy.
Mhm.
So I actually had a ritual, and this was when I was on mushrooms, that every time I when I was penetrated through my anus, Kali, the mantra, would come out very much
Mhm.
like her voice. And I would have, visions of kind of connecting with, I guess, spiritual entities, kind of like when I was a little girl and scared of them. But this time they were kind of like I was connecting with them as a way of like
Mhm.
I wanted to, like consciously, I was just in a different place. And so connecting with Kali through the anal penetration, and of course,
Mhm.
like I said, all rituals, it wasn't like I was having sex and, it was, even though that can happen too. If I have good, if I have a good anal orgasm, I usually start speaking in tongues. But it's
Wow.
yeah, but it's just relate that Kundalini energy really comes through when I either have like a really deep penetrative vaginal orgasm or an anal orgasm. That's my spirit for whatever reason. But it's also very connected to the root chakra. So if you
Right.
if you are able to relax enough, and if you can enjoy that type of orgasm stimulation, it's very stimulating to the root chakra. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go out and buy me some anal plugs and let's see what happens.
Or
But
maybe spankings or something. I like spankings too. Like
oh,
that's
that I do too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and squeezes, butt squeezes. That's a nice way to stimulate the root chakra as well.
Alex said, did she just say she speaks in tongues and sees spirits when she has anal sex? Yes.
Something like that. But usually,
She did.
usually it's in the context of, well, after having rituals, then it just starts to automatically start to happen. And I don't know how your spiritual practice has been with Tantra. Like, first, like, say it comes through meditation. Let's start with something simple. Maybe you had some kind of vision, or you had more mental clarity or
Mhm.
whatever. And then once you've done it for a while, sometimes things come up because you've
Oh yeah.
practiced it for so long. So that's kind of how the rituals the rituals started. And I practice Shakti Tantric Guru Yoga, and it's kind of like yoga for your genitals. That's how I like to say it. But it's all most of it's self cultivation. So like I'm doing everything to myself, but I'm being guided on the phone usually. And so there's mantras going on. There's meditation. We do breath work, and then we work Kundalini up through the chakras. There's a whole process. So it's a
Yeah.
whole process, and so. But once my spirit has kind of be programmed to kind of keep that energy connected, yeah, naturally sometimes when I have sex that'll come up because it's already kind of programmed in my spirit to unlock that. It's a
Yes.
lot, I know.
So what I
So
want to put this in for people. I'm sure people are going to want to go Google this Shakti Bhakti Yoga. So that's Shakti, Shakti, correct?
mhm, mhm.
Bhakti, is that Pakti?
It's Pati.
Pati?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Shakti Bhakti?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then
Yoga.
Tantric
Tantric.
Yoga. Yeah. And if you
Okay.
Google that, you'll probably get my teacher's book that comes up. He wrote a couple of books, so that might be what comes up when you Google it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to
Yeah.
be getting me some more books. Lord, you should see my Kindle edition. I got like all these different books on there. So yeah, it's interesting because working with tantra and doing these different things, maintaining that the practice, your orgasms just go to a whole different level. Now, I've never talked in tongue, but I have like seen different visions. I've seen different colors. I've had like a lot of different experiences I've had where my entire body's like just shaking uncontrollably, where my hands have gone numb, my feet have gone numb, so I've had various different experiences like that. And I've also like squirted like 20 times within like 20 minutes, so I've even had like that level. So just many different things that could happen. Like
I'm glad.
yeah, it's just a whole nother level. Like, and I think that's the thing, like our
Too
bodies
much
can do so
energy
much
going
more.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. So Michna asked, can you speak on the yoni egg and best practices exercises to strengthen the pelvic floor?
Oh, I just lost you for a second, so I missed like 30 seconds of what you were saying. You didn't see the screen freeze?
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed
Yeah.
like the last probably 20 seconds of what you were talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The internet. Yeah, I can't. I just hear the clicking and clacking. But yeah, I was just saying. Michna asked, can you speak on the yoni egg and best practices exercises to strengthen the pelvic floor?
Yeah, well, I'm not a pelvic floor specialist, and I want people to know that there are actually pelvic floor specialists out there. If you don't know, um, and I didn't know that till like later on. Like I actually attended a training. What was the diaphragm? It was on diaphragmatic
Pelvic
breathing
breathing. Mm-hmm.
exercises. Yeah, to do that. But there's all types of exercises. But I think if you're having any serious problems, you should consult with a pelvic floor specialist. I think the first thing you should do is, yeah, consider that. Like if you're in any kind of real pain. But what I was told before using yoni eggs is you want to evaluate your pelvic floor. So, yoni massages, pelvic floor massages, and I guess you could look
Mm-hmm.
that up. But it's when you
Yeah.
take your fingers and you
Mm-hmm.
go around the vagina to
Yoni
the
mapping.
and then the pelvic
Mm-hmm.
floor. And then once you've searched for triggers and you want to evaluate, see how strong it actually is. So you squeeze the pelvic floor and you see how long you can hold it. I think maybe up to 4 to 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all kinds of exercises that
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah.
So
There's,
yeah.
yeah. There's tons. I do, I'm certified to teach, and I do teach here in Brazil. So like you're saying, there's tons of people who do online classes. And I'm actually about to do an online class in Portuguese here. But like Krystal was saying, generally speaking, right now we're in a different time. So more things are kind of happening online. So I'm going to be doing my first course in this, and it's going to be in Portuguese,
You speak
online.
Portuguese?
I do speak Portuguese. Yeah, I speak fluent
Cool.
Portuguese. But yeah, generally when I do my courses, I do it individually or in group. And like you were saying, I do the whole yoni mapping, really kind of doing just an interview to see what's going on, what you're looking for, what you need. And then there's a whole practice. Like you don't just get a yoni egg and start using it. So like, Krystal was saying, you have to program it, you have to cleanse it, set your intention, put it out to get the light of the full moon, to charge it. So there's so many different things that I always recommend. Yes, like Krystal saying, find someone who can actually teach you correctly. I'll send you a message, Michener, so we can talk some more. Because what I'm thinking about doing online is maybe even teaching the person to do their own little mapping, yoni mapping and feeling and telling back to me what they're feeling, what's going on, and we can have that dialogue, and then I can teach you how to do it. So I do that. I am looking at doing that now to see how that works. But yeah, I use yoni eggs, jade eggs. There's a great book out there as well. The secrets of the white tigress, and they in that book they talk a lot of really good stuff on jade egg practice. So check out that book. Something like just put in, if you Google white tigress, the secrets of the white tigress. It's a great book, great book. Um, so I highly recommend that. And then yeah, send me a message and we can talk. We can talk about that. I think that for me personally as well, one of the things when I started my yoni egg practice was actually before I came here to Brazil. That was actually, when I think about it, what got me started into this. I was living in a DC area, and it was I used to take belly dance with Dr. Sunyata Amen, and she's not teaching belly dance anymore, but I think she's just doing natural holistic health or something like that. And I was very fortunate to be taking belly dance with her at her studio in Tacoma Park, and they would really like teach, get into the sensuality, moving the body. They also did Kundalini yoga there, and at that time, I actually wanted to go and start doing Kundalini yoga. But me being a psychotherapist, like I researched and I saw all of this stuff about if you start trying to awaken the Kundalini, you could go crazy. And I read all of this stuff. So I'm like, I'm not going to do Kundalini yoga. It's so crazy how there's so much information out there to instill fear so that you're not empowering yourself. And
Cultural
it,
insensitivity again, them not understanding
yes,
the full context of what Kundalini is about, and just feeding people fear about that. Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, 10 years ago, I could have been starting my Kundalini yoga practice and I could have been like, whole other place. But everything happens as it's supposed to. So I wasn't supposed to do it there. And eventually I found my way, and I'm doing a Kundalini yoga practice now. But anyway, I say all of that to say, when I was doing the belly dance class, she would talk a lot about yoni eggs, and she taught me how to use it. And that's when I started using it. And at that time, I really had like my orgasms weren't like they are now. Never squirted, never had full body orgasm, nothing. I was very blocked. And so when I started using that, I started releasing a lot. You know, um, and it's also important to look at and really evaluate what's going on, because there's different types of eggs. There's like obsidian, there's rose quartz, there's jade egg, there's a serpentine. So there's so many different ones to see what's going to be the best one for you to start off with first. So it's important to kind of have that interview and say, okay, to figure out, okay, which one do I choose first? And then you don't want to get your yoni egg from anywhere. You don't want to just get it from somebody off of Amazon that you don't know, because it's an energetic thing as well. So, you know, so it's important to kind of know and do your research, and see where your intuition is leading you to which egg to try and to use.
Yeah, I feel like
So
it's a very individual thing. Like if a lot of women I think are looking into well, I don't know, but I know some women might be looking into just they want a tight vagina, and then others might be actually going through pain, and they
mhm.
might. And there's some women that there might be some surface things that they're looking for, but there may be some deeper things going on. Because I feel like almost every woman, especially if you're growing up in the United States, there's some deeper issues that we probably
Yes,
need to explore: disconnection, trauma, just from living here.
yes,
We
so
need to
true.
address. So it's such an individual thing too, and it's
Mhm,
good to have a teacher. I think we need more women that are actually teachers that are proficient with the yoni egg practice, selling the
mhm.
yoni egg instead of them just being, mass produced and just sent out to
Yeah,
people
so true.
just buying them. Like I feel like it's something you really want to be guided on initially if
Mhm,
you
so true.
can. Research is good because you want to choose a good teacher, but if you
Mhm,
can be in a yoni ed class, or like be with Renee, or be guided, start off that way. I guess even if it's an online one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
thing or online group session, yeah, I would definitely suggest that.
Yeah, that's so important. It's so important. And like for people who just want to just have a nice tight yoni, you can use binwa balls. There's so many different things. There's binwa balls. There's the weights. They have the weights in different sizes. So or just doing kegels. So there's different things like that you can do. The yoni eggs is definitely more of a spiritual, energetic practice. It's it'll do the same thing to tighten the walls and strengthen the pelvic floor, but it's also going to do a lot of healing and cleansing. And one of the things that's good too, especially for older women who might be a little bit more dry, doing the kegels, the yoni egg practice is going to help keep you nice and moist and keep those juices flowing. And it's also going to help you be more orgasmic. And that was my biggest thing, that it really just took my orgasm to a whole nother level. And then if you put Tantra yoga on top of that, oh my God, you'll be speaking in tongue too. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the whole thing, I'm joking around, but the whole thing with Tantra is that you don't necessarily want to have any goals. So it's not working on it so that you can get to the point where you're speaking in tongue. It's really being present, it's being conscious and connecting to your body more, and it's understanding your body more. So that's really what it's all about. The whole
Yeah.
speaking in tongue is a extra level.
Yeah, and then who knows your what's innate to your spirit and what you need. I think a lot of the speaking in tongues for me, it's like I did a spiritual reincarnation reading, and like Sakurt is my spiritual reincarnation. It has a lot to do with Kali, Kundalini, the throat chakra. So that's more of like just what I do. I think that's why I kind of have the platform that I do, and I speak and I write. Like that's a part of my spiritual gifts. So I think that's why it comes through my throat chakra a lot. But for someone else it might be something else, what your gift or what's supposed to come out or what you're supposed to get out of it might be completely different but just as powerful. But yeah, I think and I think like to kind of have a goal to be consistent initially is okay, but then allowing spirit to kind of take you wherever it's meant for you to be is kind of like the running thing. Like, you
Right.
might start off with one goal and that helps you be consistent enough to get to where you really need to be. And that's when we have to learn to submit and just allow the universe to take us where we're supposed to go. Yeah, which can be so hard. And it's like a
Yeah.
continual process. I feel like I'm still going through that process. I'm like, what is going to happen? Like we're all going through that, right? With the pandemic, what the hell is going to happen? When are we gonna? And the universe,
Right.
don't worry about it. It'll be taken care of when it needs to be. It's the faith
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm. Awesome. And I like what you said, being consistent. And I think that's the biggest thing really to anything. Anything that you want is consistency. So whatever practice, is just being consistent with it. If you're going to do breath work consistently. If you're going to do yoga consistently. If you're going to do a tantric practice, do it consistently. And that's when you're going to start seeing different results. You're going to start seeing your body react and respond differently to different situations. And one of the big goals with Tantra, as well as to improve intimacy and connection between you and your partner, and that makes a difference. So if you can have a more intimate connection, the sex life is going to be different. You're going to connect, and you're going to have more. You're going to feel more pleasure, more bliss, and it's not just with sex or penetration, but being with each other, massaging each other, playing. It really just opens us up to be able to feel pleasure in different ways, from when you're eating, when you're talking, when you're having a great stimulating conversation. So these are all things that are just really important to,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
that's what I found with the yoga
experience.
legs as well. That it seems like something really simple, but I think it was profound. Is that um there was this physical disconnection, and when I started using my yoni egg, and even with the tantra practice, I was physically exploring my body more with intention, so there was a lot less shame associated with my body and being uncomfortable touching myself, and I don't know, with nudity, which I didn't even know I kind of had issues with that. But using the yoni egg really kind of allowed me to open up in that way. And like you were talking about, Renee, with intimacy, because I'm much more comfortable with my body, whether it be my genitals or my breast or my whole physical nude body, that's been able to help me cultivate more intimacy in the bedroom because I'm much more comfortable with my body, looking at my vagina or my vulva, and knowing that it's beautiful and the juices that come out of it and everything. Like the yoni egg practice kind of was the beginning of that too, because I wasn't so physically removed from.
Right.
Because when you work with yoni eggs, I would think with most women, you're gonna develop even a different physical relationship with your womb and your vulva and your vagina, and I think that helps unpack a lot of shame and everything too, and creating intimacy with your lover, because you're like, yeah, you developed an intimate relationship with yourself, because
Yes.
that's an area of us that's constantly covered up. And so I think physically we sometimes we can hold shame about it because we're always told cover up, close your legs, da da da.
Yes. So true. So true. Wow, this is awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Do you want to share like how people can get a hold of you, keep in touch with you? That's coming on. Again, I know you did in the beginning, but if you'd like to share that again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Renee, for having me on. This was a really fun conversation. I always love to talk to people about my journey when I'm, can have somebody that can kind of understand me. Um, but yeah, my Instagram is Krystal _Tantric Yogi. And so is Facebook. I think YouTube is the same as well. Krystal Tantric Yogi, maybe without the underscore, I'm not sure. And I'm working on my website. It should be done by the end of June, beginning of July, and it'll be krystaltantricyogi.com. So you'll be able to find me there. And I'll be offering a ton of online workshops. I have a sex doula training that'll be coming up in September. So you can be on the lookout for that. But I'm going to be hosting yoga classes and coaching sessions. But my life is kind of a little all over the place because I just went through a divorce last month and I've got to move and all that stuff this summer. So definitely by the end of the summer, look for me to start offering a lot of stuff. But you can follow me on my social media till then. I make videos and make little fun posts and captions and things like that, and do lives, and I usually announce everything on there. So
Awesome. And you sell things, don't you? You sell products?
not right now.
Right
I
now,
should.
okay.
People are always like, "Where'd you get this?" And where can I get that? Eventually.
Right.
Eventually.
This this was so awesome. I really enjoyed this conversation as well. It was just good to kind of hear because it's always interesting how people kind of get on this path because I don't think a lot of people wake up and say, "Oh, I want to, work with tantra or something like that." At least I did it, and a lot of people that I've met and I've talked to haven't. And so it's just been something like that, just like a calling, really, that we've just kind of been drawn to. And you know, I find it always interesting to hear these different stories, and
Yeah, especially as Black people, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because because when I started with Tantra, everyone that I was seeing in the different courses and things that I was going to were always like older white people. And I never really got to see people who look like me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, okay, I need to create this community where I could be around more people who look like me. And that was really honestly like why I started with the Instagram and this, and just started trying to connect more with people of color who work with tantra or Taoism or yoga, um, just to really experience it differently, and that might make a difference. So I haven't taken a yoga course yet that was run by a Black teacher, so that might make a difference because all of the yoga that I've done has been actually well in India and in DC, in Brazil. I mean, so you know, I'm gonna keep trying to stay focused and like keep at it. Wait till I find someone, maybe I'll find a great teacher and and see.
Yeah,
So
I feel like finding a good teacher, a good yoga class is almost like finding like a good church or a good I don't know, Bible study or something.
right.
Like it's not always that a particular church is not like giving you good stuff. It's just, it's sometimes it's just the vibe, and being able to
Right.
connect, especially culturally. And sometimes you start somewhere and then you're like, okay, I think I'm ready for something else. So I feel like finding a good yoga teacher or class is kind of like that.
Yes. It's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much. So this has been great. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions. I haven't seen any other questions, but thank you to those who came on and commented and said hello. And you can find me on Instagram at Prandhara Prem or Sacred Soul Retreat. And then Facebook, Renee Adolfi. I also have Prandhara Prem on Facebook and my YouTube channel. You can find me either Googling Renee Adolfi or Prandhara Prem on YouTube. So go check me out on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for both Krystal Tantric Yogi and I, Renee Adolfi, on YouTube. Subscribe to our
Renee, are
page.
you going to come back to the States anytime soon?
You know, I was supposed to be there now. So
Oh,
it's
really?
so funny. It's so funny because I was in the States in March. Literally, I was in San Diego. I did a couple workshops in San Diego, March 14th, 15th. And then I was supposed to go to LA on the 17th, 18th to do a workshop, then DC, then Detroit. But this was in the middle of with the COVID starting. So I was like, oh man, they're about to start shutting things down. So I was like, I'm going back to Brazil. I ain't gonna get stuck here. And so literally, I was supposed to be in the States from March to no, I was gonna come back in Brazil April because I do women retreat, my April Women of Color retreat, and then head back to the States in May, where I was gonna be doing some more workshops in the DC area. And yep. So when am I gonna go back? I don't know. Like,
Well, make sure
when
you
things
send me
open
your
up.
stuff because I might want to come to one of your workshops. And then also, people are always asking me about people to follow, Black women. Like, do you know any other Black women that do stuff like other white people do? And I'm like, no, I
Right.
only know a couple, so, so that I can have you to reference. But, a lot of times we like them to be here too, so we can go. So, just wanted to know if
Yeah.
you're here too. Yeah, so I can share your stuff. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah. So I'll definitely let you know. I've been to Atlanta too. Um, I taught tantric massage in Atlanta, and I did some private sessions in Atlanta. And I did do a women's workshop in Atlanta too, where we did the yoni steaming, we did some breath work. I do rebirthing, which is really good, really intense to release a lot of the traumas and blockages that's held in your body, and that works really well in groups as well. I love doing that. I don't know if you've ever done breath work, rebirthing. I mean,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
oh, that's really good. It was really good. That's some intense work. So I am a tantric rebirther as well. I did get certified in that, and love that. Yeah. So definitely, I'll let you know. Maybe we could even do a workshop together in New York when you
Yeah,
get
just let
there
me know.
or
Maybe I'll go
somewhere.
live with you on my Instagram. Yeah, so people can just be exposed because I have some good questions I could ask you that be related to
Mhm.
your expertise. So we should set that up soon.
Okay, definitely. That sounds good. I would love to. I need to start doing more Instagram lives. I'm always doing the YouTube.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we'll definitely talk. And I thank you again. Thank you everybody for coming on. You can find Krystal Tantric Yogi at Krystal Tantric Yogi. So that's really easy. Again, check out the book or check out Shakti Tantric Yoga. I'm going to be doing that too because it's just great to have many different tools and just many different things, and practices. So, all right. So everyone have a great night. Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much, Krystal. This was so much fun. And, I enjoyed it. I learned so much. It was so amazing to hear your story about how you started working with Tantra and yoga. So I hope it helps someone else who, might have had questions or not sure about their path, what they're going to do.
yeah,
Just
they
to
feel
know
weird. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
into work is very interesting. Thank you. So hopefully it did help someone, just kind of be inspired And Alex is later. Thank you, Alex. And Lord, Alex is gonna be trying to learn some stuff to make so he can speak in tongue.
Rising.
Bernardo says supermodels.
I know we
Thank
are
you.
cute, aren't we? We look cute
We
together.
are. We really are. All right. So thank you guys. So if you are just joining us, watch it from the beginning because this was really great. And thank you again, Krystal. So we'll set up for Instagram.
Yeah.
And you have a wonderful night.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.